We'll do it live.
We are doing it live. Welcome back to Everybody Loves Raiken, our 5th edition live play podcast every Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern. So, you have a good week, guys?
Meh.
Okay. Is it better
It's
now?
the holiday season.
Oh, okay. So, last week, episode 28, you guys finally made it to the encampment of the Torlin Dragonborn tribes.
We did?
Yes. You met up with the leader of the tribes, again, who you knew from before, Ryuzaki, and took time to explain to him everything that had happened since you parted ways with the tribes before. You explained the threat of the Lich and how you dealt with it and what you believed the outcome of that interaction would be. Yukikaze himself retired to his father's tent to sleep off the effects of his push through the night to get there. During this explanation to the leader and his clansmen, Ryuzaki announced Zintharamil to his people in an attempt to sway the consensus of Toralos in favor of Zintharamil and his latent power. And luckily, as Zin and Lair had been postulating, it did in fact grant him the power of the Feywild, with which he forged a new pact with Leah, overriding, as far as anyone can tell, her previous pact with Zephyr. The result of this new pact was that she got all of her warlock powers back and some new ones, given that she's now bound to a Fey instead of a demon.
Woo!
And a new hairstyle.
She got a new hairstyle, and she got a new familiar through her Pact of the Chain, which was a sprite that didn't much like Raiken.
Alas.
But he's not evil.
He's just stupid.
She'll learn to love him. Everybody loves Raiken anyway.
Yeah. That's what the campaign's name is.
Until Raiken dies, and then we rename it to Everyone Loved Raiken.
Exactly.
I mean, the original name was Noob's Campaign, yeah? Then we just called it Tuesday Campaign.
I mean, that was just so that I could easily discern it from other things.
But Everybody Loves Raiken was a joke back in the time that just stuck.
Pretty much.
So as I remember, the last thing that happened was now I've forgotten his name, but brother
Tatsuya?
Tatsuya, yeah. He carried Leah off in excitement, finding out that it's her birthday.
Leaving Raiken.
Yes. Tatsuya had dragged Raiken away from the Torlin Dragonborn group to discuss with him everything he had been learning from Laramendas about the situation in Arcosia and Bramdor as it develops. During that time, Leah finished her summoning of her sprite and went to go show it to Raiken, at which point Tatsuya, Raiken's older brother, learned that it was Leah's birthday and carried her off in celebration, leaving Raiken behind with his fancy armor and no audience.
Yeah, after being blinded by the armor transformation.
He thought it was great.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't change a thing.
Man, that's a callback.
Wow.
Yep. From the podcast, not even this.
Podcast years ago. So, I think the only other thing of import that happened, Vendar managed to turn his venom sacs from the purple worm into more purple worm poison. He had purchased enough glass vials, so he was able to bottle that up. Jebble took...
He needed it. He was running.
He owns the largest
running
share
so
of
low.
purple worm poison
He
in the
barely
world.
had 68 vials left. What was he gonna do? Jebble took his purple worm teeth to the Dragonborn smiths to have them made into weapons. And Cyrus and Laramendus learned a ritual, which I believe only Laramendus can perform because sorcerers don't get rituals, do they?
No, I don't, but I could eventually if I spent all of my future feats on it.
Is that worth it? I mean, I won't
No.
stop you from doing it if that's what you want.
No, it's not.
Okay, so Laramendus, you both observed a ritual. Laramendus was able to learn the ritual for later performance to disenchant magic items, a ritual that the traveler Naravar said came from his home world, another dimension. And the way that its magic works seems to be very different from how you've seen spellcasters in this world working.
Yeah. It's not only another dimension, it's also another addition.
Yeah. They're all just dimensions, man. People still play 3-5 now. It's just a parallel dimension.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
But does someone play first edition?
Probably. I'm sure there are people. I know people who still play second edition. So,
Ooh.
Yeah, my dad's old campaign is still going, and they play first edition.
yikes. The rules were very different back then. So, when we had left off, all of that had happened. People were heading off for to prepare for dinner, as it was late afternoon after all of the storytelling and spell casting occurred, since the rituals that were cast were each an hour.
Yeah.
That was some interesting noises. So, yes, Raiken, you are left in the sand wearing your glorious cord plate armor as the Arcosian Dragonborn trail away in parade march with Tatsuya and Leah at the head of the column toward the now building Torlin campfires.
At least I still have my armor.
As I said, it's getting into late afternoon, and the sun is starting to tilt toward the horizon again. You are in the desert. It's very hot out. There's very little shade. The lizards and Kubriel seem to be sleeping on the sand next to the water. Kubriel's even still got a paw, like, trailing off into the water.
Uh-oh. Hope she doesn't pee herself then.
I know, it would be terrible if that happened in this giant litter box.
That's it.
So, this is your time. Is there anything you'd like to do?
Raiken will probably just eat.
I mean, after seeing the kind of awe that people were in about, the group, Cyrus would probably just try spending some, time with just different people in the tribe, see where it goes.
Okay. Do you want to roleplay that or roll for it?
Roll.
Okay. Roll, charisma, diplomacy. Persuasion, excuse me. It's called diplomacy in the two previous editions.
Yeah, this time actually even I didn't even realize you said the wrong thing.
Okay, I believe I got a 17. Let me double check my bonus. It is a 17.
Okay. Mingling among the Dragonborn, you meet, you're able to meet and have conversations with several, perhaps a half dozen over the course of the next hour, as the tribes sort of come together and congregate into their own smaller groups, breaking up. And you notice that the breakup is mostly by color. Not color of scale in this case, but the color of clothing. Each segment of the tribe seems to have its own, not so much a coat of arms, but a choice of color coordination. And these seem to represent subdivisions within the clan, as you may remember from the last time you were here. As they begin to gather and prepare their meals, building fires, bringing out food, and then communally cooking things, you're able to have several enlightening conversations, learning about how the Dragonborn, because you do speak Draconic, and they will primarily be speaking Draconic. Very few of them will speak Common with you, and those that do, they have a very difficult time with Common.
Alright. Well, then, in that case, I should probably try and speak Draconic just to make it easier for them.
Yeah. I figured you would, but I mean to say that, some of them will try to speak to you in Common, as a, just show that they can, kind of thing. Foreigners, let me speak to you in your native tongue.
Alright.
And you can see that they struggle with it. So you will learn about some things about the group's travels, a little bit about the division, how there's, sub-tribes that are geared toward crafting and mercantile, sub-tribes that are geared toward largely defense and war-making. Ryuzaki's tribe is primarily these diviners who lead the group through the desert and help them dodge the storms. And I imagine that you'll be informing them when they tell you this about the fact that you think the storms are going to be slowing down or stopping soon.
Yep.
And you get mixed responses to that. There's a lot of relief. There's a bit of distrust in that, just because... And you can tell it's not that they think that you are necessarily suspicious. They seem mostly to be difficult to convince that the way things have been for their entire lives and beyond is going to change so drastically.
Yep, and there'd be and I'd have no, I wouldn't expect them to believe me, because it is a very drastic bit of news.
Specifically when this comes up among the militaristic subgroup of the tribe. One of the nearby Dragonborn says, "Really? We won't have to dodge the storms anymore? Ha ha! Finally, we can control the clan the way we needed to and stop relying on the guides."
In what way is that?
He eyes you, as though challenging you, and says, "Why should the smallest group in the tribe command the most authority, especially when now their unique power is obsolete?"
He'll just kind of nod and just kind of put on a thinking face.
Don't hurt yourself.
I'll roll my eyes at that particular comment.
Do. Okay, hello. So, and I think that last person of any import that you would meet, you would recognize, because you'd met her before, Haruna, who is seeking out your group and asking after Yukikaze.
Who is seeing her?
I mean, she's coming to the main feast because she knows that's where he'd be. She has clearly been waiting to come see you. Didn't want to interrupt things that were going on before this. So she would be approaching the group at large.
Okay. Am I with the group at large? I mean, I really don't know where I am, considering I got carried off.
As these preparations are going on, Tatsuya would not keep you too far away from your group, especially because his group is enjoying about the same amount of hospitality as yours, which is primarily being extended by the Nagariboshi sub-tribe.
Okay.
So when they come to eat, they stay near Ryuzaki, as your group tends to. So you would not be far off.
Okay. Then I will call for Haruna. Haruna, hi.
Moment to think about her voice, since I haven't used her in a while. Ah, Leah. It is good to see you. I trust your travels were safe.
Not safe, no, but it's fine now.
I can see that at least most of your group has returned. I am glad to see that is the case. Do you know where I can find my friend Yukikaze?
He's sleeping. He went immediately to the tent.
She, suddenly gets a very sympathetic look on her face. Was he injured?
No, we just rode the entire night. And he was driving the wagon.
Oh my. May I ask why you felt the need to travel through the night?
We got something to catching up on in I forget the name of the place in
Tuka.
Tuka.
Tuka. I see. And you will be all right going back to Tuka on your own?
Well, we are a large group, and it just got larger.
I simply meant without myself and my guards. Excuse me a moment. Can't find
What
the
have you
mute
done?
button.
What have you done now? Or is it coming for
after you,
Sam?
Tristan.
It's the fires.
Alright, sorry about that. I couldn't find the mute button for the stream. I finally did.
Yeah, it's too late now. It's away.
Oh, no. When I mute the stream, it doesn't mute Discord. I have to mute them independently.
Right. But yeah, I'm sure we will fine. I mean, it's not like there's many side turns in this place. So if you just keep going east, we'll get there, yeah? West. It's very uncommon for me to get cardinal directions wrong. So that is the first.
She nods and says, I think I will go seek Yukikaze. I am very worried about him.
Oh, before you do that, I want you to meet my new friend. I point at the fairy.
She
Sprite, not fairy.
She straightens up and looks upon your fairy friend. She looks about at first, looking for a full-size person, then realizes that this sprite is fluttering in the air next to you.
This is Lorelei. It's my new familiar.
Lorelei. She seems a little taken aback at first, not entirely certain how to act. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Haruna, of Clan Kirakiraboshi, and Leah is a very good acquaintance of mine through my very close friend Yukikaze. And Lorelei, with her arms folded across her chest, looks her up and down. Says, yeah, I can feel her goodness from here. She's like cinnamon bun dipped in caramel. I'm gonna be over here.
Well, that's something.
I am confused.
She can tell if people are good or bad. It's a little bit creepy.
I see. Well, a pleasure to meet you anyway.
Well, good news. She likes you more than Raiken.
Is there any surprise?
I guess not.
He can be a little abrasive, but I'm sure you can smooth that out of him.
Maybe. I mean, he never means anything bad, though. He's just a bit sharp around the edges.
Indeed.
Oh, it's also my birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday. I did not bring you anything, but I will find something.
Oh, no need. I'm not used to getting presents anyway.
Well, we'll have to change that. Actually, the wizard, where is he?
Larry Mendez?
Yes.
Point over in this direction. He's over there.
Unsurprisingly, he's sitting next to Ryuzaki, and they are in conversation. If you'll excuse me.
Is Ryuzaki back? I thought he went into the Yukikaze's tent.
He had been for a while, but now that preparations are being made for dinner, it seems he has reappeared.
Okay.
Besides, Yukikaze was gone to the world. There was nothing that could be done. It was just a waste of time.
He's dead.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Haruna will make her way over to Ryuzaki and Laramentis, bowing very courteously and excusing herself from you, Leah.
Yeah.
At which point Tatsuya would elbow you in the shoulder and say, I see my niece is making friends in the Torlin tribes. That a girl. A pretty
We
one.
traveled with her, you know, before even met you, so... Yeah.
I was worried that my brother would drive off anyone who might show you kindness.
Why would you do that?
No. He's just never been good at thanking people at the right moment.
Oh. Well, they tried to drive me off from, Oh, shit, sorry, I forgot his name. The boy. In,
Devram?
Devram, yeah. He tried to drag me away from Devram for some reason.
Who's Devram?
There's a cute boy I met along the way.
Do you have a boyfriend?
No.
I'll kill him!
Strangely enough, that's what Raiken said too. You two are a lot alike.
Tatsuya, straightens up while still seated. Says, well, I'm certain my brother had only your best interests in mind. He's a good kid.
Yeah, well. Just don't have him grotlet in me, though.
Give him time. He likes to find the right moment for certain things. Just not thanking people. Don't expect that. He never once thanked me after I saved him from that snake when we were kids.
Come to think of it, I can't remember ever hearing him saying thanks.
What, you mean a thank you?
Like a proper one. I mean, he's thanked for getting beer and stuff like that, you know. But properly, no, don't think so.
Well, the next time he forgets, you take that wand and you zap him right in the ass.
From the
I
inside.
wouldn't do that. I already burned him once.
I bet that soiled his scales.
It was an accident, though. It was a blizzard. I didn't see him.
I'm sure he deserved it. And he looks fine now, so he's only gotten better for it. Keep him on the straight and narrow.
Granted, that was before he fell on me.
He just stares at you in silence for a long
Yeah,
time.
We told him that story last time we met, by the way, in case you forgot.
I did.
Yeah.
Right. That moment. I mean, you can always hit him with another fireball. It's fine. You have my
I don't
permission.
have it anymore. I changed patrons and lost all my fire abilities. Oh, besides Hellish Rebuke, I can still do that.
Your magic isn't granted by the dragons, is it?
No, it's granted by my patron. You met him earlier, I think. Did you? No. Maybe
He might have seen
us.
him, but you didn't talk specifically to Tatsuya before Zentharmel disappeared into the Feywild.
That's why I suddenly remembered. You might have seen him coming in here. He looks like a walking, like a goat tree elf.
I do remember a goat tree elf. That's actually a very apt description. That is how I would have described him.
You could tell.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
He's very kind though, but he went back to the Feywild.
I see.
It's very recent. Like I just changed patron. I was at the Feywild for a short moment, and came back here.
Yes, I caught glimpses of your exchange then. And you're certain you can trust him?
I can, yeah. He's very trusting, and he trusts me. So
As you're saying this, like, Tatsuya is, like, leaning close with, like, his one big lizard eye. Like, you're certain that it's safe.
safe, no, because I did leave my old patron, but he's the new one, Sintaramel. He's good. Old one, not so much.
Alright.
We still have to deal with that. But hopefully he shouldn't be able to track me anymore.
I will ensure that I have another word with Raiken before you leave the town. It's
Don't-
probably
the
going
ex-
to be a town soon, you know. Out here on the sands.
Really? They plan to do that? Like,
Word's been going all over camp. Hell, we've just heard it in passing. Somebody was saying that the storms had stopped.
it has. That was our doing.
And if the storms have really stopped, then this place can finally become a permanent settlement. They won't
Maybe,
have
but-
to walk around anymore to avoid them.
Hopefully not exactly this spot. I already suggested to Ryu. Come on.
Tuka.
What was his name?
Hmm?
What?
Ryuzaki.
Oh, this Ryuzaki. Yeah. Already suggested they move a little because I entered this place when Zephyr could still track me. So, for all I know, he might be looking here.
Ah. Well, don't
So-
worry. My brigade here will keep these people safe. That's what we've been doing since we arrived.
No offense, but I think a demon lord might be a little out of your league.
He simply blinks at you for a few moments. Says, "Look at you, learning about your uncle. I love you."
Where about everyone was kind.
My men can handle whatever this world throws at us. We'll keep these people safe.
If only I had your confidence.
He cracks a toothy reptilian grin at you.
It seems to run in your family, don't it?
Toothy reptilian grins? Yes, all of my family does that.
No, the confidence.
Toothy reptilian grins.
They say I've got my grandfather's smile. And my father's. Also my mother's and my brother's. We all kind of smile the same.
No, I meant the confident. You're very confident people. I never seen Raiken back down from a challenge. Even the unflippable table.
Glossing over that, he places a large armored arm around you and pulls you close up against his side and says, "Yeah, that's my little brother. Completely unflappable. Don't tell him this, but I'm really proud of that about him. I think that's one of the good things that his decision to follow Cord has done for him. He brings a lot of honor to us."
Why wouldn't you tell him that?
Are you kidding? He'd never shut up about it. And then he'd probably get beaten, and I'd look stupid.
But wouldn't it be good to be honest against each other? I mean, I don't have any siblings.
He he moves his hand on top of your head and just sort of ruffles your hair and says, I think deep down he knows.
You think a lot about him.
Well, yeah.
Proud and stubborn, sure. Bright, maybe not.
He'll surprise you. One of these days. I'll transition away from there.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Lair, you had said that there were things that you wanted to discuss with Ryuzaki. Give me one topic you're interested in either sharing with him or getting to know from him.
I think that I had most wanted him to be aware of everything that we found there relating to the history of the area, and the tech. I figured that as magic related people, they might have an interest in understanding some of how the stuff is working. I know we did the demonstration for the like people at large as we were talking about that, but I imagine that there was a deeper conversation a bit, and I would have given him one of the grenades if he wanted one, so that they would have one to be able to replicate other magics on. The history was more what I would have been interested in, though. But if he showed a desire to hear more about one particular thing, then Laramentis is more interested in conveying what he wants to know to him than getting something across to him.
Okay. So after you relate the story to him, he is sitting there. It took about 20-30 minutes since he came back out of the tent. It's just been a bustle around you as the different camps of the sub-tribes assemble for their meal. And he has this Magitech grenade that you were showing and explaining to him, seated, nestled into the sand in front of him as he sits cross-legged, looking upon it and listening to your words, seeming to consider the glowing blue gems around its outer surface. And finally he says, I see. So, according to what you witnessed, this lich, this ancient wizard, Kuvara, she chose to destroy these gnomes hundreds of years ago.
Yes. She
is
said as much to us.
It is very interesting to bring this story to us, because my people have long lived with the tales of the lands to the east, the Forbidden Desert, that before there was some powerful kingdom or nation there, and something that they did, they defied the gods of magic and tried to usurp them, and were subsequently destroyed for their hubris. But if what you say is true, and it was this gnomish empire developing these new uses of arcane magic, destroyed by a mortal force, then that would alter the understanding the world has of what happened here, and perhaps alter the course of our future, if enough people could know and do something with this new knowledge.
I intend to spread the information at the Temple of Ione when we reach Tuka. So I imagine many will know, and I am sure that when word spreads of the desert being safer, things will be much less quiet here.
Indeed. If it is as you say, and there is even the possibility that some of this Magitech still exists in the sands, they will come looking for it. I wonder, Laramentis, do you believe what she said might be true? I imagine that you relayed the entire story to him.
Yeah.
Do you...
About the dangers of this information getting out?
Indeed. I must confess that knowing what I know of people, even living so far separated for so long, it does not seem outside of the bound of possibility that people will turn these to weapons against one another as soon as they learn how to use them.
Bromdor seems to already be attempting to make headway in that direction. I feel that the ability for magic to be spread amongst more people will ultimately benefit society. at large. It is too concentrated amongst the powerful and keeps them in power.
And his tired old reptilian face splits in a smile, a familiar toothy grin at this point. Says, "Your words are very much like the teacher herself, and I do hope that you are correct, for I do not think that there will be a way to stop the tide of what is coming." You shut the hell up. I wish you good luck in facing this new challenge from this Brumdor. And I hope that spreading knowledge does lead to a stop to these hostilities.
We shall do everything in our power to make it so.
I do not know what my scholars can do with this device, but I will see that it is put to use and that it is not used to destroy any person.
I believe you'll find of more interest the fundamentals of the device itself and the ability to transcribe other things. There were other tools such as the rope box that we found that seemed to be functioning in a similar way. And so I imagine most magics that a wizard is capable of performing can be bound in some way.
It is a long time since anyone in my tribe has concerned themselves with such a use for arcane magic, sticking to the old rituals and spells. Only what we needed to survive in the desert. But I think now that we have less of that to worry about than once we did, perhaps we can devote some of our collective brain power to devising a new way of using this magic. Thank you, Theramendus, and your party for bringing us this gift, with which we might form a new, brighter future.
I look forward to seeing what it holds.
You have given my people many gifts this day, and we will not soon forget it. Should you have need, and we are able to help, I would commit any in my power to your service.
When things finally come to a head with the Green Dragon, we shall have to see what happens. But I hope it does not need to come to that.
I do hope that is the case. It all bodes ill, and I worry at what is to come for this world with this dragon and this war and this technology. But you and your friends have given me hope that perhaps we can find a way through this without destroying ourselves. At this point, you are going to see and recognize Haruna, princess of the Kirikiraboshi clan, stumbling around Dragonborn who are moving things, foods, chairs, cushions into position for dinner. And she comes and bows deeply, reverently before Ryuzaki He says, "Please forgive my intrusion, but I was hoping I might be permitted to see and speak with Yukikaze." And Ryuzaki looks up at her and says, "Not at all, child. Please. He is sleeping in my tent, but I think that it would not be a problem for you to visit." He directs her toward his tent with a hand gesture, and she bows again, saying thank you. You can see that the scales around her eyes are wet. And before departing, she turns and says, "Thank you for protecting my friend, Vermentis."
He was just as necessary to keeping the rest of us alive as we were to keep him well. We would not have made it without him.
This makes her smile and then seems to somewhat overwhelm her, and she departs quickly, disappearing into the tent. Okay, so does anybody have anything they wanted to cover specifically, or shall we skip along through dinner?
Looks
Well,
like
I
we
wanted-
lost Derek.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
Well, he's gone.
hang on.
What did I want Jebble to do?
D-Rec.
Yes, I've only just noticed that. Let me just make sure things are okay. Okay, I will not be able to confirm that. In any event, what'd you say, Joel?
I wanted Jebble to do some stuff around the camp just while everything else was going on.
Okay.
So I figured he'd try to learn more about the nature of the area. I imagine he's not that familiar with deserts.
Okay. So you're wanting to learn about the nature of the area and the relationship of this people with it?
Stuff like that, yeah, and like what kind of animals, the normal weather.
Okay.
And then maybe because I want to try and get into like the whole herbalism thing a bit more. Maybe if there's any what's the word? Formula recipes that they have for any medicines or anything that they have.
They say that they have, mostly when it comes to herbalism, they rely on the orange flower that allows their diviners to ascertain the paths of the storms, which was called, sorry, I need to just,
Moonlight's Edge.
that sounds right.
Yeah, because I got one.
Okay. I'm
I
just
got
trying
like
to...
an old one.
Oh, you know what? It's not in this. I was looking in the wrong notepad. Got too many notepads. Let's see. I just want to make sure I know it's written down. I just want to make sure I know where it's written down. It's been so long since I've looked at this one. Where are you? Yes, history and locales of Toralos. Let's see. Yeah, Moonlight Edge. Moonlight's Edge. I think it's mostly Moonlight's Edge. Yeah. Okay. You learn about the native species of the desert. It does seem to be primarily the giant scorpions, the bullets, the purple worms. There are some wild dogs in the sands, so you haven't seen them yet. There are smaller creatures, these dune anolians, the large lizards, and smaller versions of the same. And it seems that, most things are some form of, in most cases, most things are cold-blooded, coming out to bathe in the sun during the day and hiding beneath it at night. Predators there are day predators and night predators, but the biggest things to worry about while traveling the desert tend to be the purple worms, the bullets, and the giant scorpions. They're the most aggressive predators that will absolutely come after travelers and bands of merchants, which is why they tend to travel in numbers greater than 1 or 2. The Dragonborn, send at least 4 people, usually 6 in a single group. When going from the tribe to Tuka, they talk to you a little bit about what the Dragonborn do to get by and stay alive. Their herbalism for healing tends to be whatever roots and cactus juice is growing around them. Mostly it's for ailments of like the stomach, ways of staying productive. When it comes to like actual life and death things, they do tend to rely on the magic potions, which they can buy from the city. And if things become really dire, they will take the person, if there is some chance that they could be saved, to the city to see the healers there, since there are clerics in Tuka. They are mostly self-reliant, but when things get heavy, they do have Tuka that they can buy things from. That they earn the coin to buy these things by trading their Moonlight's Edge and the things that they find in the sand, which are the meat marps.
Yes. The meat marks.
Yeah. Beyond that, that they've mostly just been following this stone of endless water around as a way of sustaining their lives out here. And that there's a lot of excitement around the camp with this spreading news that the storms are going to stop and that they won't have to keep moving all the time. Anything else specifically? Or does that kind of cover it?
No, I think that'll do.
Okay. There are also some birds of prey, owls, vultures, hawks, but, everything wildlife-wise is pretty sparse or very well hidden.
Oh yeah, we saw the giant vultures.
You did, that's right.
Yeah.
We were picking at the purple worm the next day. Yeah. Raiken, you sound like you've had something to say for a while.
No.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
I'll just quickly say, Vendar, is there anything specific you wanted to do? You finish up your crafting of all of the poisons that I told you about, and by the time you're done with that, everything else has been sort of gathering toward this meal. So, is there anything specific you want to accomplish before people settle in to eat?
No.
Okay. Then...
if I have... How long would that take, and how much time did we have before the meal started?
Between the time that you finished speaking with Ryuzaki and the time that the meal will be ready and everybody settles into it, about an hour and a half.
Okay, in that time,
2.5 hours, I think, because the first hour was taken up with the casting of those spells. So an hour and a half from after those spells end.
and that's including me talking to.
The hour and a half will include you going around and getting this information. Is there something else you wanted to accomplish in that time?
Yeah, like if I have maybe half an hour. The instrument that I took from the garland.
Which was the loot with the extra stick, I think?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to just mess around with that, see if I can figure out how it works.
Okay, well, you find that, again, as I told you, in the dungeon, you can pluck at the strings like a lute, but all of the pitches are very high and twangy, and it's really hard to make them harmonize when plucking them. They're also very taut, which makes them really difficult, like hard on your fingers to continuously pluck. You can't really strum them because of the way they're arranged. This extra stick is honestly baffling, but eventually you wonder if the strands of fiber on the one side of it are supposed to interact with the strings in some way, and you begin beating them against one another, and that begins to produce low thrumming noises, something you hadn't accomplished before. And as you experiment more and more, you do find that at one point you drag the fibers across a string, and it produces a prolonged note while you drag it, which echoes within the chamber of the instrument. And you find that the sound it produces, while screechy on the ends, is sultry in the middle and pleasing. And you begin experimenting, finding out what else you can make this thing do. You determine during this half hour of messing with it that it seems the intention was for this befibered stick to be drug across the strings to produce these held warbling tones. And you find that it sings sweetly if done with a exacting grace and constant pressure. You do have a skill in performance, right?
Performance? No.
No. Well, if you wouldn't mind rolling it anyway.
I'm just proficient with the loot. That's a 9.
Okay. Well, between your proficiency with the lute, a very nearly unrelated instrument, and your inexperience with performing, you do manage to scrape out a few notes, and you feel confident that you're on the right path, but you will need more practice to actually make this thing sing the way it was intended.
This journey back to Tuka is going to be torturous for everyone.
Whatever you've got, it looks a little bit like a lute, but it is clearly not a lute. You may name it whatever you like.
It might end up being misplaced before.
It should be called the flute. Fucking lute.
No, the jalute.
The shitty lute.
Come on, this is like a fiddle.
Jiddle.
Because he's fiddling with it?
I'm not saying anything in character. I'm not paying attention to this situation.
Okay, so that satisfy you?
Yep, I think that's me done now.
Cool. So, the sun continues to set, the fires roar to life, food is prepared. Sweet, spicy, all kinds of savory smells exude, and hundreds of voices mull over each other in a wild din as stories are shared, excitement excitement for the future as everybody in the camp seems to be buzzing with the news that the adventurers have brought to them. Even just around your fire alone, you can hear people wondering at what it would be like to be able to build houses and live in them like those in Tuka. Something they've never been able to do before, as they had to be constantly on the move. And the night deepens, and about halfway through this protracted meal,
Everything must be very out of scale for Lorelei.
Ready?
Ready, steady, goey.
No. I said alrighty.
Yeah.
In any event, about halfway through the meal, there is a rustling in Ryuzaki's tent, and Yukikaze comes out, blinking in the firelight.
Bastards woke me up.
Oh, finally got your beauty sleep.
Are we all
You didn't-
gathered around by now?
You didn't drive us back here.
I drove myself and Leah.
Yeah. Good evening, Yukikaze.
Yeah. Still a little groggy. But I'm awake.
You have the benefits of a full rest at this point.
Enough to work out. I thought I was exhaustion too.
Yes, one full rest will give you one long rest. Will remove one level of exhaustion.
Alright, so I'm okay then. Good. What's going on? Everyone seems very excited. Wait, is this what? I don't know. Sorry, out of character. Where are we at right now?
Dinner? Well, we're about to be done with it.
Redundant.
Is everything the roaring died down? Because I heard you talking about that. Or is everyone still up and happy and cheering?
Everyone in your party seems to be awake and enjoying the meal. And you can see that there is an excited. The camp is livelier than ever, as people are talking excitedly with neighbors as they share their meal. Just in the vicinity around you, you can hear that some of the excitement is about building houses.
What happened while I was asleep?
We filled them in. Sid Tarmel went back to the Feywild, and I got a new familiar.
What the deuce?
Hey, meet Lorelei.
No, she's a sprite.
That little dinky thing?
the tiny humanoid on which was seated on Leah's shoulder, takes to the air on diaphanous wings and buzzes up in your face and says, "I'm not dinky. I am a warrior." And as she approaches, you can see that she looks like a tiny, tiny elf with dragonfly wings. She is wearing what appears to be tiny leather armor, and over her shoulder she has slung a bow and a sword on her hip.
Forgive me, little one. It's just... You are very small. I meant no offense.
"I'm noticing a trend," she seems to say over her shoulder to Leah, "with the Dragonborn who travel with you."
I'm sorry.
So, a lot has happened while I was asleep. I was only asleep 8 hours, wasn't I? How long has it been?
8 hours.
Well, I was speaking out loud to the
Oh,
group.
sorry.
Oh, about 8 hours.
Oh, jeez. You guys have been busy then. I better probably get something to eat. And I'll mosey. I'll say, well, it's nice to meet you,
Lorelei.
Lorelei. I'm a bit famished. I'm gonna go get a bite to eat now.
She sort of hovers in the air and watches you go before buzzing back over to Leah. As you take a place among your people and begin pulling food toward yourself onto a plate, you are going to feel a presence looming behind you. And as you turn to look up, you'll see the slightly stooped vision of your father standing over you, smiling down at you.
Oh, hi, Dad.
I am glad to see that you have awoken, Yukikaze. I was concerned about your health and safety. Your friends told me quite the harrowing tale about your trip with them.
It was something I shall not forget.
I wonder if you wouldn't mind bringing that, he indicates the plate of food that you're filling, and coming to speak with me a moment in the tent.
Okay, just give me a little longer. I'm gonna fill this thing up.
He nods and begins heading toward his tent.
Totally piling on the grub. And then I guess I will, after I fill up a good amount, it will look like it's teetering over a little bit, and I'll head over.
You head back into the tent whence you just came. Within, you find your father seated and Haruna. And your father gestures to the ground before him and says, "Please come, eat. I have little to say, but it is of great import, I think."
Okay, what's up?
I wanted to begin by asking about your pilgrimage.
I haven't really gotten any further signs from Bahamut. After we got to a certain point, but then after I lit up this last part of the pendant, so
Do you feel like you are on a path set out by Bahamut?
I think Lord Bahamut would want me to continue to help them to fight Bala, but you know, it's nice to be home. It's nice to see everyone. So then I know the
Shinseikatsu.
Shinseikatsu is only a while away.
You can see as you speak that Haruna is distraught by your words. She hasn't said anything, but she seems to be holding back tears. And Ryuzaki, your father, considers you for a moment and says,
I agree with you, my son. I think that our Lord Bahamut has greater plans for you. Greater and more important than the needs of just our people. After speaking with your friends about the things that have transpired and the far-reaching implications of the results of your time spent in the Forbidden Desert, I think that perhaps it would be best if you continued on this path laid out by the Platinum Dragon. I think by doing so, you would be helping a great many more people than simply by leading these tribes in the desert. I was worried that if I gave you this news like this, you would be worried that it meant I did not think you worthy. But I want to assure you, my son, that I think there is no one worthier of inheriting my title and leading these people. But I do not want to stand in the way of your destiny. A destiny that I feel the gravity of in my very bones.
Still doesn't make me less homesick.
At this point, Haruna will break her silence, and you can hear her voice is choked as she said,
Then why do you not stay? You do not have to risk your life out there for other people. Ones you do not even know.
But Haruna, who says that, if Bala does conquer many lands, it doesn't push trouble our way, and it puts you and everyone I care about in jeopardy or trouble.
But you would be here, and the tribes. We could fight this as it comes, if it comes.
But with the teachings of Bahamut, do you think that he would be pleased to just turn a blind eye to the suffering from a ancient green dragon upon the weak?
Do not prey on my devotion, Yukikaze. I simply am worried about our people and about you. I do not want to lose you. Especially someplace far away when I cannot know what is going on.
Well, you don't have to worry, or Haruna, I have no intention of going on this quest and not coming back.
Many have said things like that. The lore, the children's stories are full of heroes who go for great purpose but do not return. I just don't want you to end up like that. Are we not important to you?
Yes, and that is why I wish to go. Even though it pains me to.
I must stand with my son on this decision, Haruna. I am forever grateful for the friendship that you share with Yukikaze, but I think that your desires, while well-meaning, are short-sighted. I am proud of your decision, Yukikaze. You have grown into exactly the kind of man that I had hoped.
I'm munching on food right now.
I look over at Tachia, because I assume I still sitting next to him.
You're still sitting next to Tatsuya, but this conversation is happening in a tent. No one is aware of this conversation.
Dang it. Never mind. I was gonna comment something. But,
No, this is a very private conversation.
Okay.
Get out of my conversation.
Jerk.
We just busted. Hey guys!
Just walk in like eating something like did anyone want? I could get you a drink. No.
Alright, back to the
You?
subject at hand. But yes, Father, I will. We have Wizard in our group. You've met him multiple times. He is able to send messages. I will try my best to politely ask him to keep you guys informed of our endeavors.
I am confident that if anything comes up that I must know about, that Amendus will ensure that I know it.
I hope that it doesn't take a super long time, but I also hope to, come back, and I plan to come back.
You better. I'm not letting you off the hook if I get married.
At this point, Haruna looks very defeated, faced with the resolve of both you and your father against her wishes.
Do I have drumsticks?
You could.
Or what do I have? Like a piece of meat or something?
I mean,
Piece in the hand.
it seems like, scorpion meat.
I'll just take a piece. I'll lift it. I was like, Haruna, you can just, don't worry. Everything's gonna be alright. And we beat a lich. Something to celebrate.
You always say that, Yukikaze. And somehow, ever since we were children, you've always been right. Well, except for that one time. But
I don't recall. I think I pulled my leg, but let's celebrate and be happy.
alright. One last night.
So then I'll stand up and it's like, shall we join everyone back out at the meal?
Ryuzaki smiles and rises from his seat and says,
Yes, I think we have kept your friends waiting long enough. You have been sleeping all day. I am certain they want to talk with you.
and the three of you return to the meal. Haruna's subdued, but she doesn't seem as angry as she did. The meal carries on for a few hours as people continue to share stories and eat slowly. And eventually, the Dragonborn begin returning to their tents to sleep through the night. I simply want to know what your sleeping arrangement is going to be. You have these tents. You can create Liamon's tiny hut. You've got.
I cannot create Liamon's tiny hut.
You cannot create Liamon's tiny hut.
Because you're mean.
You don't have his book.
You've got Carl's instant cabin. And you've got the wagon.
Cabin is good. I like cabin. Though last time the cabin spawned a purple worm. What are the chances of that happening again?
It is likely that the disturbance caused by this large group of people going about their normal activities would be more noticeable and disruptive for the mind of a purple worm. Possibly.
I'm sure Vendar would love it.
We didn't cover them in class.
If another one comes, then we can always get more poison.
I would posit that it is a bad idea to be the cause of a purple worm coming up in the center of the encampment.
If you guys are
Yeah, but we don't know what'll happen.
There's plenty of tents that we can set one up for you guys. One of our bigger ones. But I'm probably gonna be up for quite a while since I just woke up.
I'm going to go to bed when I can.
Yes, let's go to bed. Neither of us have slept.
It's been a good day. I mean, getting to celebrate my birthday with people I will be willing to call family.
You'll notice that the idea that it was your birthday also seemed to spread through the Dragonborn tribe, and other Dragonborn came to speak to you in Draconic. They were smiling, so you imagine that they were just wishing you happy birthday, but I think you don't know Draconic.
I don't know Draconic.
So you're not entirely sure what they were saying.
Raiken started teaching me, but I don't think it taught me those specific words.
Probably not. Those words probably weren't high on the list to learn.
I probably only learned like words like hello and maybe to count to 3. Which is the highest number Raiken can count to.
Hey!
Can't even count to 14.
1, 2, 5.
No, 3.
1 too many lots.
Okay. So,
That's a Discworld reference for you there.
What is your sleeping arrangement?
Jebble will use the wagon.
Jebble's gonna sleep in the wagon.
Laramendus would like to borrow a tent if there's one that he can set up.
So would Leah, and if
Yeah,
it would be possible to,
wagon.
if it would be possible to get a tent with other women or by herself for once, that would be very appreciated.
Haruna takes you to the Kiragaboshi camp to stay in her tent.
There is at least one tent on the wagon, like one of ours.
I think so.
Yeah, like there's my one is
Okay.
on the wagon.
Okay.
So if someone wants to borrow that one.
There's a gnome-sized tent on the wagon.
Raiken would probably try to find a tent with his group, the Arcosians.
Alex, it will be now and never though. Just.
No, don't worry. Don't worry.
Vendar's just gonna stay on the wagon.
Tatsuya and the platoon are heading slightly away from the rest of the tribe so they can do their perimeter thing they do and have their camp somewhat separated. You can see that they're setting up their tents in nice even rows, and Tatsuya's overseeing it. Going to ask him for a tent.
Yes. Can I have a tent, brother?
Ah, Raiken.
Let me look around here. We only take with us what we can carry on our back, so it looks like we have exactly 0 extra tents. Would you like to share mine?
If I have to, but you better not kick me.
I would never kick you. Although, I do have a few bowls of water in the tent, so you might want to keep your hands out of them this time.
I'll make sure to dump them beforehand.
Of course.
Very well, I will sleep, but I have something to attend.
Oh, what's that?
None of your business.
Oh, you have to get the dress taken in, don't you?
No.
Oh, it fits perfectly then. Excellent. I was very worried. Also, I'm very impressed that my courier found you.
Just go away. I'm going to do what I need to do. You just shut up.
He continues to stand there at parade rest.
Oh, brotherly love.
Raiken will go and attempt to head towards where he saw Leah going.
Okay. You do eventually find that the colors around you shift. Where is it? What? Here we go. Right, so it is in the area around Ryuzaki. The colors, as I've said before, but I'll recap, are teal and orange, the dyes and the fabrics of people's clothing and tents. And as I said earlier, the camp is divided into subgroups. And so heading in the direction you saw Haruna leading Leah, eventually the tent's fabrics begin to shift their colors from the blue-orange, and you find that they are now purple-gold.
Okay. But now I gotta just guess at which tent, maybe. Assuming, no, if she's with Haruna, I should maybe look for a bigger tent.
Mm.
So I'm gonna look for, like, the biggest tent. Maybe.
Just go to the first one, knock. I don't know. Go to
Haruna?
the second one, knock. After the fifth tent, someone's like, ugh, and then just leads you over there. And you're like, excellent.
Exactly my plan.
At least you would knock first, even though knocking on a tent is very abrupt.
No, you would just say knock. Knock, knock.
Knock, knock. Who is there?
Yeah, I've had people knock on my tent before when sleeping, and it's very startling.
Shriek, 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 shriek.
So yeah, he'll go to a big tent and say knock knock.
Who is there?
This is Raiken.
Raiken who?
Raiken of House Lumos.
That was a terrible joke. You
Oh.
suck at jokes.
I sorry, I didn't know I was doing a joke. You asked me who it was. I had to respond to you that way.
You just hear Leah giggling.
You definitely got the pick of the litter, Leah.
You don't say.
Hey, sounds like I made her laugh.
The flap at the front of the tent is drawn aside, and within you can see that there is a lantern sitting on the floor, illuminating a small table with journals laid out on it and a couple of bedrolls. And Haruna is she has her arm up and to the right over her head, holding the flap of the tent out of the way,
And a little ways behind her, you can see Leah peering around her. She says,
Is there something I can do for you, Arcosian?
Yes, I was actually wanting to speak to Leah.
Yeah, I'm already in my dressing gown. So
Very well.
look over.
I needed to wet my scales anyway.
she holds the tent flap open and steps aside.
Raiken will step in.
As soon as you're in, she slides past you and out into the night.
Alright.
Hi. What's going on?
Will bend down and like kind of kneel in front of her. Today was a big day for you, wasn't it?
I mean, yeah. Finally getting a new pact was a big thing. Been waiting for that for so long.
I believe that must be an amazing birthday gift. Which, by the way, happy birthday. I'm sorry I haven't...
Oh, thank you.
You hear a small chorus of draconic voices from outside the tent.
Raiken ignores them.
You know what they're saying, she doesn't.
I'm sorry. I wanted to wait for the right time.
Right before the end of it?
Well, we were riding at the start of it, and then one thing led to another.
I hope it didn't.
Shut up, she knows what I mean!
Jesus Christ.
But there was something else that I wanted to give you when I said it. And Raiken will reach into his bag and he'll pull out a box with a very, like, ruffled bow, like it's not tied very well
The box
around
itself
it.
is a little bit beat up and squished.
Yeah.
There's water stains on the paper.
I'm sorry, it doesn't look very good, but this is for you.
I mean, it's not just because I'm currently reading this book, but this reminds me a lot of Philosopher's Stone. Leah sits up because she's just been laying on her stomach until now, and carefully takes it. For me?
Yes, it's a little something I picked up along the way, and I've been waiting to give it to you until your birthday.
Thank you. You didn't have to, but she starts opening it carefully, like very carefully, instead of just tearing it open. She's like nipping up the bow and wrapping it up very, very easily.
Raiken just looks on, just really intent on seeing what her reaction is.
You pull away the bow as gingerly as you can. It's ruffled and wrinkled in places, but it managed to maintain its knot. It doesn't stand brightly like the ones you've seen at other kids' birthdays, but there's a pride in the way it's managed to hold things together. The paper beneath is worn and shabby, and as I said, water-stained. It's clearly been with him a long time and through a lot of your trials and tribulations. And yet, it hasn't developed any major holes and maintains the secrets of whatever's within. Pulling that away at the seams, you find this thin wooden box, again stained by water, little bit of algae growth down at one corner, but altogether intact. And finally lifting the lid off of this with the grinding of wood against wood, you find that the interior is nearly untouched by any of this damage and time wear that you've seen down through the layers. Inside, shadowed by the edge of the box, you can see the glint of something golden, and reaching in, you feel softness, and it seems to absorb the warmth of your hand and grow warm with life. And you pull out this beautifully made teddy bear, enshrouded in a princess gown, carrying a scepter and with a golden crown.
As she takes a look at it, suddenly she kind of goes a little bit pale and wide-eyed. Like, this... Where did it get this?
Back at a little shop that the two of us visited, where I can't remember what town it was.
I think it was in Dykoselphus.
Back at Dykoselphus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She goes quiet a little bit.
I was a little afraid that you had seen me get it.
Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, that was where we got the tiara?
Yeah.
Yes! And Raiken will actually pull out the tiara that he still carries with him.
Put it on.
Of course he does.
There you go.
She smiles and grabs hold of the teddy bear a little closer. Thank you.
So you like it?
Oh yeah, I love it. I had something like this before. It was not as pretty. It was more worn and older.
Well, this one is only yours.
She's gonna move forward and give you a hug.
Raiken will embrace her back. Hopefully it will help keep you company at night.
Yeah, it will. It's so long since I had... I'm not sure if I told you, but I got a teddy bear a lot like this, but it was destroyed by the kids at the orphanage.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry.
That is the first night Zephyr spoke to me.
Well, think of this bear as showing you that you no longer need Zephyr. You have now myself, the party, and Zintheramil.
That's a good way of thinking of it. In a way, it kind of goes full circle.
Yes, it seems it does.
It's lovely. That's the first birthday gift I ever gotten.
I am honored as your father to be the one to give you your first gift.
He's gonna dry a tear. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Leah. I love you.
You too. You. That is. I think you showed something like that before, didn't you?
I did.
In,
It's the picture I posted before.
I mean, I hope it looks less humanoid than that, but
Well,
That's
Leah,
exactly what it looks like.
I'm glad you had a great birthday.
no, it's the best one.
And there'll be many more to come in the future, I'm sure.
Well, I hope so.
Now, you must get your rest. I would
No, I
feel
need to-
terrible as a father if you kept up even longer.
Yeah, it's been a long day and night.
Yes, you need your rest so you can grow big and strong.
I have to know all about growing so far. As he stretches a leg.
All right, Raiken will give her
where will-
kind of. Oh, go
Where will
ahead.
you be sleeping?
Oh, I'm going to, unfortunately, be sleeping with my brother.
Ah, don't let him bully you.
Got a little bit of incest in.
Good lord.
No, I will not. I will make sure he doesn't pull any fast ones on me.
Well, if it tries to do anything, just do your dance thing, and I'm sure he's going to leave the dance.
What a great
Just tell him
idea.
you're drunk, that'll scare him away.
All right. Good night, Leah.
Night.
Raiken will get up and head out of the tent.
I'm
And
not
head
crying,
back.
you're crying. You head back over to the Arcosian camp. You pass Haruna on the way.
Where will your group go now?
Crap. What's the freaking place again?
Tuka.
Okay, I was like, it starts with a T, but I can't remember.
I have this awesome map that you can go to.
I know. I'm not looking at it right now. And I was like, I'm gonna say taco
Like a
instead of
toucan.
Tuka.
Don't say taco. It's
I
wrong.
know. Oh, I believe we'll be heading towards Tuka. Trying to return there. We have apparently important matters.
Does important mean dangerous?
Unsure, but we can never be too careful.
He's going to reach out and grab like the inside of your elbow while standing and facing past you, like to keep you from going anywhere. He says,
Please. Don't let anything bad happen to my Yuki.
Oh, let me tell you, after traveling, as much as I give him trouble, he knows how to handle himself. And if anybody can face what we might have to face, it would be him.
I know. He is a good fighter. Please. Just say yes. Just say you'll do this for me.
Yes, I will make sure nothing happens to him. He will return to you.
Thank you.
and she's going to wrap her free hand around the same shoulder as the arm she's taken hostage, and hold tight like an anchor for several seconds as she steadies herself and steps away. She says,
I wish you well on your trip. and I hope she liked whatever you got for her.
I believe she did. I've been waiting to give that to her for a long time.
Then I am sure all is well. Good night, Raiken.
Good night, Haruna.
And, she goes to her tent, and you go to join Tatsuya. Tatsuya is already snoring.
Good, he's asleep. Already, I could go to sleep in peace.
Oh, vomit.
When Haruna is coming back in, is she still like Terry?
I mean, you hear her approach, and you are aware that she stops outside the tent for a moment before coming in. When she passes into the tent, she smiles brightly at you and says,
Well, little one, are you ready to sleep? You've had a very long day.
Longer than I think. Is something wrong?
She pauses for an extra moment, seeming to try to figure out how to answer that question before raising her eyes to meet yours, and says,
Is that... No, the bear?
Oh, yeah, he gave it to me. He's been holding on for this a long time.
Maybe we did not give him enough credit.
Maybe. Lorelei, which is currently standing on the bear.
Although I am told that in society where they have houses, that water clocks, even when broken, are right twice a day.
What?
It's not how you use water clocks.
It is a saying from Tuka. In any event, it means that...
It sounds better in Draconic.
Maybe he got lucky. Or maybe he got lucky finding you.
I'd like to think I'm lucky to find them.
I think that you are.
If I hadn't, Zephyr will still be twirling me around his middle finger.
I do not know what this Zephyr put you through. I only know the voice I heard out on the sands. It was full of malevolence and wrath. I do not envy you your position at this time, except that you have found a group on whom I think you can trust.
It's a little better now when Sintaramal has gotten his powers back.
I do not know everything, but I have confidence that you and your family will find a way.
I don't know anything either. Like, I have no idea why my hair went black. And as he, like, twirls the black strand in between her finger.
Magic is a strange and powerful force. You know, it was my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather who invented magic.
You don't say.
Yes. Bahamut was the progenitor of all arcane power in this world, and it is from him that we learn all of our spells. That is why your wizards cast in our language.
You're directly related to Bahamut?
All Dragonborn are directly related to Bahamut.
How does that work?
He is our great. She starts counting on her fingers. Grandfather.
But wouldn't that mean that all the siblings would... Ew.
I think it broke up and I didn't understand your question.
I just said, wouldn't that mean that all these siblings would... And you paused.
Oh. Well, it depends on how much you worry about such things.
Sounds kinda gross. No offense.
She she makes a face at you and says, I did not make fun of your god.
I don't really have a god.
He was a goat.
Oh! Sintarma's not my god.
Isn't he?
No, he's a friend. And, patron, which just means that he lends me his powers. It
Sounds kind of godlike to me, but what do I know of such things?
Sephiroth wanted to be a god, and I like to think that's one of the things that separates these two. Sintarmel don't pursue power.
Indeed. Well, in any event, I feel that it is my job within the tribes to make lasting arrangements with people, that I have a knack for reading them, and I feel like your group, as a bit mismatched as it might be, is at least trustworthy to get the job done. And I think that you are lucky to have them.
I think so too.
Now get in bed, you're keeping me awake.
Yeah, might as well. Lorelei, do sprites sleep?
Lorelei hovers in the air, says, I'm Fae, and I'm a warrior. I've evolved beyond the need for sleep. I will be ever vigilant for danger.
She says while, like, crawling into a blanket.
This is what it looks like when I'm preparing for danger.
I like the idea of her just halfway through the sentence just dropping out of the
Try not to listen too closely to the heartbeats while we sleep.
But that is my job.
If you say so.
I will be here when you awake.
Well, me if something happens.
Of course. That is my job now.
And she's already asleep.
Good night, Leah.
Alright. So everybody who didn't already have it can benefit from a long rest.
I did.
Yeah.
Is going to read some of the journal.
You okay, Malachi?
Oh, I think I might.
What?
I think I might head to bed here sooner or later. I'm exhausted. I'm sorry, guys.
That's fine, mate.
Let's go.
Alright.
Is there any key points that you might get to before?
I need survival rolls from you.
I can do that, bro.
Give me 4 of them.
Sorry, I was up at 4:30 this morning, plowing and shoveling.
Okay, damn it.
Did it snow in your neck of the woods?
Yep, we got at least 1 inch, 2 inches. We got a good amount.
It snowed while I was at work today, but none of it stuck. The ground is too warm.
No, here there's lots of snow.
Yeah, it's been snowing every other week here.
Doesn't
Snow
really
down
snow-
here.
Doesn't
So
really snow this
it
time of
rained a
year here.
little it rained a little today, so the snow is kind of gooey, but it's there.
If you can
Snow
put them in
doesn't
the
really
chat
stick
so I
out
can
too well.
find them, that'll be the easiest.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up. I have Survival Plus. I'm just double checking it.
Okay.
Got a lot of hail last night.
So first one was. There you go. Those are my 4 rolls. Alright, sorry again, guys. Just with everything going on, I'm really exhausted.
No, it's cool. Get some sleep.
Thanks again, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi, Michael.
Right.
So, are Vendar and Jebble are both sleeping on the wagon? In the wagon?
Yeah.
It's cold out there. Do you have blankets?
Yep.
Okay. The wagon has been made comfortable by Yukikaze's order from Tuka, and a little bit plush and warm, but it's still very cold in the desert, and with only 2 of you in the wagon, there isn't a lot of body heat to warm it, so the blankets will be important. So, as I said, anybody who didn't already have a long rest gains the benefits of a long rest. The only person who already had it was Yukikaze.
Before, I imagine Jebble got into the wagon first, did he?
Actually, you would still also be sharing the wagon with Narvar and Cal.
Oh, cool. But I'm just saying that like once Vendar hops in, if Jebble's already there, he's just going to say some stuff.
Okay. Go for it.
So as soon as like Vendar gets comfortable, Jebble's just gonna. I cannot wait to get out of this desert.
Yeah, me too. It sucks here. It's either too hot or too cold. I don't like it.
And a lot of sand.
It's everywhere, and it gets into everything.
It does. It does. It's also samey. I mean, it was exciting for the first day, but then it was just, oh, what's out there? Oh, more sand.
And it feels like it's been months.
It has. It's been like what? 2 days? 3 days? Wait, no. I was going out like.
So, I mean, it took you. You got here pretty quickly from the dungeon because you traveled through the night. So
Yeah.
that was about 24 hours ish of travel. 28 hours of travel. You were in the dungeon for 2.5 days, I believe. It took, looking at the map, 2 days of travel to get from the Dragonborn tribe to the camp. So, I mean, already right there, that's like a week. And then I think it took 3 days to get, two or 3 days to get from Tuka to the Dragonborn camp the first time. So you're looking at, you've already been out here for like 10 days.
Yeah.
No, it's 10 days too long.
Everything probably melds into one big long day. Just, I miss. No, do you know what I miss? I miss grass.
Me too. Grass is wonderful.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to getting back to Aspara.
me too. That Bromdor thing is weird. I've never really. It's politics is a bit outside my wheelhouse. So
Bromdor has been a pain in our ass for generations. It's awful.
yeah, that's what everyone tells me. Yeah, I suppose we're going to have to deal with something sometime. Do you have plans for what you want to do?
When?
With that guy who's in charge of Bromdor.
I'm thinking we're gonna kill him, but I guess we're gonna have to talk to everybody else about what we're gonna do before that's decided on.
Yeah, and you might want to make sure that that doesn't make things worse, because that's a very permanent solution.
I mean, not really. How many rulers they've gone through and attacking us? But it might at least
That's a
temporarily stop them. Besides, he's a piece of garbage anyway.
Yeah, Larmendis and Leah, I don't think had any. Like when Jebble asked Leah about things, would she have been critical of what's his name, Sivan?
Oh, what?
Jebble was brought up to date about everything by Larmendis and Leah.
Yeah.
So he's aware of, like, to a certain extent, like he's aware of what happened in Bromdor with Sivan.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So just
Steven,
wondering,
that was the leader, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leah would not have said kind words about him, calling all sorts of bad things.
So Jebble, yeah.
And Laramentis didn't defend him and contributed to that. Like, Laramentis doesn't like him. He's a prick.
He's a prick.
And now he's making it so Laramentis is lacking his book for longer, which is not putting him in a good light for Laramentis.
Leah's like, remember,
Yeah.
one time we killed the dragon, and then he took the head and said that he killed it.
Yeah, that too.
He did do that.
I don't think Leah would mention that specifically though, because that's not necessarily something she paid much attention to. Maybe Larmendis mentioned that, or someone else filled it in. Like Raiken or Yukikaze will probably fill in on that part.
Anywho, I suppose we have a little bit of time before that becomes an issue. I'm gonna have to think on this. Night. Anyway.
Oh, night.
Good night.
Night. Night, you too, bird. Dinosaur thing.
I wish I could have one of them. He's so cute.
Cal is not a bird. Cal is a quetzal. It's much smarter than a bird. Birds can't talk.
Parrots can talk.
Some birds can talk.
Ravens.
Cal is not a parrot! He actually unravels himself from the little nest that he and Narvar built and, like, stalks across on all four of his limbs, using the claws on the second crook in his wings as little feet, and walking across the bottom of the wagon, climbing up, like, placing those front claws, fingers, on your chest and bringing his face really uncomfortably close to yours, Jebble. Saying, not bird.
I'm just gonna, like, grab one of the wings and look at the claws.
Catbird.
You say that out loud?
Quietly.
Not bird! He's like struggling against you, trying to get his hand back.
Yeah, birds don't have these things.
Yes, Cal is not a bird. Cal is a Quetzal. Give Cal back his hand.
I let go.
He like.
What is a Quetzal? Are there more Quetzals? Can I have one?
Can I have one?
There are more Quetzals. Cal comes from a whole forest of Quetzals. And no, you can't have one. That's weird. We're not objects to be had. Not pets
like a pet.
Birds. Birds are pets!
Okay, how about a companion?
He stalks over to you and looks you very closely in the eye with his own large orb of an eye, turning his head sideways to look at you with just one, much the way he did with Jebble just now. And
I grin.
Do you have many stories to tell the Quetzals?
Oh, yes, many stories. I've done lots with my life.
And will you create more stories?
Absolutely. You see the kind of life I live.
Then... maybe.
That would be awesome.
He, like, draws his head back and blinks at you unevenly with both of his eyes. Quetzals like stories. If you tell
I like
them
stories.
Cal likes stories, too.
Stories are so good.
Cal knows many stories. Tell Cal a story. You just hear this tiny muffled voice from across the wagon. Cal, no stories. Sleep time. And he sort of like
What stories?
You see his neck serpent, and he looks over at the mound of blankets and squints his eyes. And then he looks back at you with and conspiratorially says, "We can whisper stories."
We will have lots of time for stories tomorrow.
Cal wants bacon.
No, I don't have bacon. But I do have stories.
Cal wants stories.
Tomorrow, because there's going to be... just desert.
Lots of desert.
But that could mean lots of stories.
He begins to move away back toward the blanket, then stops and looks back over his shoulder with his long serpentine neck. Says, "What is Cal?"
Cal is Quetzal.
You get bacon. And then he scampers back into the blankets, and you never see him again.
Ever.
He's gone.
It's like, I don't know what, Cal never existed. It was all in your head.
What sort of blanket is that?
Special blanket.
The blanket of holding.
Blanket of... The blanket of five corners.
Jebble's going to try and wild shape into...
A Quetzal?
Yeah, just to see if he can.
I mean, they were a natural creature in the world he came from. Yeah. You become a Quetzal. I don't know if they had a... Sarah created a stat block for them, but I don't know where it is.
I have no idea, but
No,
the
that's-
CR is not high enough that he couldn't turn into it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had like a CR of 1-8.
Probably. Maybe 1/2 because of like proficiencies and bonuses to stats
Maybe.
and like stuff like that, but
I'll look into creating a stat block for it then. I haven't been able to get any responses out of her to get stuff from her, so I'll just have to do it myself.
wait, would he have the magic vision?
Huh.
It's an ability that they have.
It is. It is, in fact, an ability that they have. Yeah.
So you do that, and suddenly Nerevar just lights up in front of you.
And it's just a short scream, and then gnome form again.
But, you turn into this Quetzal. You shrink down to tiny size. You are basically a photocopy of Cal. And the first thing that you notice as you do this is that immediately everything takes on hues of highly saturated color. And from this mound of blankets that Cal disappeared into, it's brilliantly glowing. Even from beneath the blankets, it's brilliantly glowing with hues of purple and blue and green and yellow. And looking at Vendar, you can see that there are brilliant hues of purple and red on him. And that his whole body, even though you know he isn't magical, has a hue to it. It's got this kind of turgid gray and red affect to it, where it's like kind of a dark grayish struck with red here and there, and with the occasional glimmer, like very ostentatiously yellow or blue in certain places, but overwhelmingly it seems to be gray and red. He's not glowing anywhere near as brightly as the pillows over there, but you know that the brightest glows after just a couple moments in this form must be magic items, because you can see his three-corner hat is one of the things glowing so brightly. In hues of yellow and orange. You know that you have a fly speed now. I think she gave them a walking speed of like 10 feet and a fly speed of like 80.
Oh,
80 is
good
pretty
lord.
high.
80? I don't think this is.
60.
I
Fast little fucker.
I think that the idea was that they were very fast flyers, Sam.
Okay.
Remember,
I had to go to, like-
they make the booming noise when they fly.
I interacted very little
their
with
mouths.
Quetzals.
I
I think I had
interacted.
to go to like. Yeah, I think I had to go to like dragon level to get even close to 80.
Giant eagles have a fly speed of 80.
Yeah. I mean, the idea is that the Quetzals are very, very incapable of, like, taking things down on their own, so they needed to be able to run from it. So they were really super fast.
How do you spell Quetzal?
Quetzal.
Okay.
You know, when it said spell, I literally thought it meant like magic spell.
Summon Quetzal.
Turn into Quetzal. You can be Vendar's pet Quetzal now.
Oh, that's right. That was something else I wanted to bring up.
Whoa. Somebody's buzzing.
It could be me. I was scratching and where my microphone is. Before we head back to sleep, after turning back into Jebble, we'll turn to Vendar and just say, when we get back to Tuka, when you're meeting with this person who wants to talk to you, if you need backup, I'm there for you.
Being a little Quetzal would be awesome.
Yeah. Or something else. less, conspicuous.
You find that in Quetzal form you can speak common.
Excuse me. Like when a druid wild shapes, does he understand the limitations of his new forms to aware, or is it something he has to like practice with?
I think the buzzing is distracting people. What did you say?
No, when a druid wild shapes, does he just understand the limitations of his new form, or does he have to practice? Or does he have to like?
I mean, that sounds more like flavor, and so there's nothing in the mechanics of the thing that say that you have to spend time learning to control the body, but if you wanted to incorporate that into the character, I would allow it.
Make it proper anamorph.
Yeah, right?
I don't get.
Never read Animorphs?
No.
No.
Oh.
It was a YA series of books about
I'm aware of it, but I don't really know an awful lot about it.
I remember it from when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean it's very teenagey.
Yeah, like I didn't even think they were. I saw like
5th grade.
I saw like images of the covers of the books online, and I thought that they were jokes.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like a child, and then like their body, slice by slice, and then an animal, and it was just like, that's not real.
One of the kids actually died in the series. So
it got pretty heavy for a YA. Now it's sort of the standard for YA.
Anyway, derailing. Might
Indeed. So
no, I was just wondering because as the Quetzal, I never actually spoke, so like I was just wondering like if I knew that as a Quetzal we can speak common, would it be just I understand?
You're aware that because you retain your mind, so whatever languages you can speak, the Quetzal body has the ability to speak. And because it has hands and feet, technically, like the claws on its arms, and it has the dexterity to use them, it can emote as well. Which would mean, mechanically, you'd have the ability to cast spells as a Quetzal.
That's awesome. Never be a gnome again. You're a Quetzal now.
I can be a Quetzal for like 5 hours a day. Or 10.
Is there a way we can make it permanent?
Get me to 20th level.
It seems like it'll take a while.
Goodness gracious. So, yeah. They were natural creatures on the world they came from, so that means that you can take their form. There you go.
I've been wondering that for like 2 weeks.
I mean, that's the only limitation on casting spells in wild shape, right, Sam? Is that the wild shape has to be able to do the requirements for casting the spell.
And you have to be like 18th level.
Oh, is that it?
Well, that's what lets you do it regardless of the form.
Well,
so if a form is capable of casting spells, you are capable of casting spells. So like elementals, which can cast spells. If you turn it to one, you can cast spells.
Check. There is a thing. There is like an actual part of the thing about
if a Quetzal itself, like as a creature, can't cast spells, then I don't think he can
We've never
naturally
had a
cast
Quetzal.
spells.
Yeah, we never met a Quetzal that could actually cast spells. They just had natural, innate spell-like
I would be
abilities.
surprised if any of them actually could.
Are Quetzals homebrew creatures, or are they
Yes.
from
Yeah.
4th edition? The homebrew? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, being at beast spells. Beginning at 18th level, you can cast many of your druid spells in any shape you assume using all shape. You form the somatic and verbal components of druid spell, while in beast shape, which aren't able to provide material components. So, like, yeah, I think 18th level is when you start casting magic in beast form. 20th level is when verbal and somatic components and material components that lack a cost stop applying in both normal and wild shape.
I'm pretty sure Quetzals had hover.
You're just there looking at a cat, and next thing you know, fireball.
Fireball. Cat opens its mouth to meow instead of fireball comes out.
Doesn't even need to open its mouth, just sitting there. Doesn't even move. Yeah. Fireball.
It's an explosive kitty.
It's just shoop de whoops.
That's a good card game. Exploding kitties.
I'm a fire in my barn!
Alright, so.
Iron my laser.
Are we ready to get a day of travel out of the way?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah. I wake up. How was my night?
Your night?
You wrestle with that princess bear.
Yeah, I mean, Leah's been having very rough nights lately with growing pains and the purge and all that, so that's why I have to ask the DM, how was the night?
Yeah.
She kills some homeless people.
I mean, of course, because most of the ailments are physical, they're there. However, I would say that the positive vibes of the day, and the presence of your gift from Raiken definitely helped to calm your emotions, which helped with some of the somatic symptoms as well. It didn't feel as bad, but you were aware of things still. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Your mic is just exploding over there, Thomas.
Again.
Yeah, it's super. No, it's been going the whole time.
Every time you start talking, static also. With it.
Ever since you bumped it. Alright, so according to this map, with some hard riding, you should be able to make it in 2 days.
Hard riding.
So I have Malachi's rolls, so he's able to keep you on course, and it's not terribly hard this time. Like, you're mostly just heading west, but you are trying to make sure that you hit this city and don't just go to the ocean then go, wait, where's the city? So he helps to guides the wagon along to the first rest point, and you sleep again. So that's 16, 24, 8. So 16. You can spend the 16 hours traveling. During that 16 hours, anybody can benefit from up to 3 hours of language. So maybe spend a couple of minutes here and just to mark down who's teaching what and when.
Can I get some draconic lessons?
I can teach that.
Yeah, I'll take Draconic.
Alright, I'll teach you both 3 hours of Draconic then.
Okay, so 3 hours is done.
I'll be reading the journal.
You're reading
because I assume that there's still more to read. to actually like read it thoroughly.
Oh,
So how many lessons did I need to roll on understanding, or?
10?
five.
Was the
Five
first
is the
one.
first time that you can
It's pinned.
roll. Yeah, it is pinned. It's
Hey.
pinned in the channel. Once you've had 5 hours of lessons in a language, if somebody speaks in the language near you, you can roll an intelligence check to see if you get the gist of what they're saying. The DC with only 5 lessons or between 5 and 10 lessons is 20. So you have to
Yeah,
roll.
so I don't know. I probably won't succeed, but I can roll now. I'm Draconic. I have 6 lessons.
All right.
Nice.
Welcome to being able to roll for Draconic. When people speak Draconic near you, which tends to include arcane spells, you have a chance to try and understand it.
It happens a lot.
So that's 3 hours. Lair is reading the journal, which means I need to pull up my notes on that. With 16 hours of travel going on, I imagine that you're going to be well out of the ability to learn languages before the trip is done.
I'll tell stories to Cal.
Because 2 of you are down, and 3 hours are down. Leah, are you going to be learning or teaching any languages? Or are you and Raiken going to share any languages during these 16 hours of marching?
Oh, good lord.
Teacher could teach her more Draconic.
Yeah. And she'll take the teachers that you can have.
Okay. I mean, that can happen simultaneously, so still 3 lessons. 3 hours are all that's really spent. And 3 of you have learned.
And then I'm getting bored, because I assume that she's still riding with Raiken. Technically, I don't need to anymore, because now there is 1 extra room. Since Sintarmel is no longer there.
True. You could just learn from Cyrus.
But, nah, she wanted to ride with Raiken. So she
Okay.
rides with Raiken.
Are you going to teach Raiken any languages? I believe your language as known hasn't changed, despite other things changing.
No, oh, really?
Yeah. Because
So
that was a
it's-
result of the time you spent.
Oh, so, okay, gotcha. That could come in handy.
Could.
But yeah, nah, she's not much of a teacher.
Okay. That's fine.
But she's willing to try something else, though, after spending the 3 hours necessary to continue learning Draconic.
What are you going to try?
She would like talk back to Raiken. Have you ever wondered what Tam might be up to?
No, I forgot he existed the moment he left.
Raiken?
Sorry, it cut out on me. I didn't. All he said.
He asked if you ever wondered what happened to Tam.
I haven't thought about him in a while, but now that you bring it up, it is. I do wonder what ended up happening to him, where he might be right now.
Shall we try to find out? I take out the mirror.
Sure, why not? If you are able to somehow get a hold of him or find out where he might be.
I mean, I won't be able to get a hold of him, but I can look at him. If he's still alive and doesn't resist.
Then why don't we?
Can you scry on dead people?
Look at
Yeah, we're just being
No.
a corpse in a ditch.
It's just like
Corpse in a ditch.
it's like
You-
The
you-
sensor
can-
appears 3 feet down.
You can scry on locations, but when doing the spell, you decide whether or not to choose a location or a person. So if you
Okay.
choose a person, it
Can you
won't...
choose the location of a person?
If
I
you
wanna-
know
I
the
wanna
person's
know the
location.
location.
Yeah, if I
You
know
can't
the
just be
person's
like-
it.
location.
If they're
But I
not
don't-
there, you're
Yeah, I
scrying on
want
a
to be at the
location that they're not
location
in.
of this person.
No, you can't do that.
No.
What bonuses or penalties does he have?
Let's take a look.
it's like the idea that Leah's
Knowledge.
face just really happy looking
Well,
into the
how would you
image.
say? Do you say he's first hand or familiar? First hand is have you met the target. Familiar is you know the target well. It's a bit of a gap there to me. I wouldn't say I know him well, but I do know him. It's more than just
How
a
long
person
did
I
you
met.
spend with him? You met him when you met
They
the
were
party.
kidnapped together.
You were kidnapped together, and you met him
Yeah.
when you entered Aspara together. You went, not Elizon. Oh, I don't have the other cities marked here. What? I thought I did. What? I'm very upset. Ugh. Okay, so the city just before Elizon, I think, was Tristram.
We went to Tristram, I think.
Yes.
At least.
No, I'm trying to add dots to the map for places that you went. Fudge, what was before that? Oh, wait, I have it. Go to this. Go to list of nations and capitals. Yeah. Not Evangard. Not Vardafton. Here we go. Not Thanandir. Where the hell is Aspara? Alright. Rilen. That was it. Rilen, Tristram, and Elizon. Okay. Cool. Man, it's been a long time since we've talked about Rilen, hasn't it? Rilen. Okay, so it was only 3 towns. I thought it was 4. 3 towns and then Everwatch. So you met him in Rilen, and traveled through Tristram and Elizon, and then went to Everwatch with him. I mean, so you were with him for like a week.
Yeah, something like that.
So, but I mean, you spent a lot of that time together and got to know things about him. What's the penalty for first hand, and what's the penalty for familiar?
First hand is 0 and familiar is -5.
Okay, I'm gonna give him a -2.
Ah, okay.
Because you're
and I don't
somewhere in
have
between.
and I don't have anything of his possession or likeness or picture or anything like that. So.
I don't think so, but you met him, so...
Yeah. So I don't have anything of connection to him.
Yeah.
Then it's just those.
Okay. So he got a 6.
Oh. Let's see. The DC is 16, so he failed.
Yeah.
So I can. So yeah, I can see him.
Okay. Let's see. Around now. Boop. It's a lot earlier there. You would have done this after the language lesson.
Yeah.
Around noonish. Yeah. Okay. So you create this invisible eye out in the wild, and it gives you a view through which you can see Tam. He does appear to be alive. He does appear to be quite a bit shaggier than when you last saw him, as though he hasn't had the ability to shave or cut his hair since you departed ways with him months earlier. And the other thing you notice is that he is in combat.
Oh. Oh, there.
I want you to roll history for me.
Okay. History 16.
Okay. You recognize that he is in pitched combat against several soldiers, all of whom are dressed in the colors of Bromdor.
Oh.
And as you watch this scene playing out before you in the mirror, and the view moves to follow him, and you get a bit of an idea of the lay of the land, you can see that he is still near Everwatch as you catch a glimpse of this ghost white pillar in the dim light that just seems to be catching the first rays of the sun and glinting out of the mirror.
Yeah, I can focus on him for 10 minutes.
Okay. If you wish to spend that time focusing on him, you see that he is in constant combat that whole time, fighting against soldier after soldier, taking on multiple at a time, taking blow after blow on his lightly armored form and seeming to absorb all of it with his barbarian rage. And toward the end of this time, you finally see that there are others fighting the Brumdorans as well. Some of them are in the colors of Everwatch, the colors of Aspara, which you recognize from the guards when you were in Everwatch. But there is one other set of colors, combination of colors and arms that stands out to you as not being Brumdoran or Asparan. And because of your role, you do recognize it as soldiers in service to King Hadvar Lionborn of Ebengard.
Oh. But that isn't useful information. Yeah, so by the time it fades out, I will tell Raiken, okay, that was a lot.
What?
He's alive. He's in Everwatch. He's fighting. He's fought that entire 10 minutes until the spell ended.
He's in
fighting,
Everwatch.
Yeah, he's fighting Brumdorn soldiers alongside soldiers of Everwatch and Ebengard.
Ah, so Ebengard has helped join into the fight alongside Everwatch.
It appears so. That seems to be information we should bring up with the party, yes?
We should. It's good to see that Tam is still alive, even though it's currently he's in combat.
I hope it stays that way. Alive, I mean.
Yes. Yeah, when we stop, we must let everyone know. Good job, Leah.
Yeah, it's just a thought. It turned out to be more useful than I expected.
You'll be stopping for lunch soon, as you've been going for 3 hours, and you stop approximately every 4.
Yeah, so by the time we stop, I will relay this information to the rest of the group.
That's excellent news. Avangard's on our side. Maybe we can finally stop Bromdor.
Did it appear that they were near the Ebengard border, or are the Ebengard troops perhaps farther south?
Looked like they were right next to Everwatch. I saw the spires.
Everwatch itself is fairly centrally located.
Yeah, I meant I wanted to know if Ebengard was aiding, in Aspara, helping them, or if this was another front that he was trying to get to.
Yeah. As Leah said, it seemed like she could see Everwatch in the image, so it seems wherever exactly it is, Evangard is committed deeply into this territory.
And I did see Ebengard soldiers fighting Brumdoran soldiers, right?
Yes.
Not the other way around. Yeah, okay.
I mean, also
the other way around. You did see Brumdoran soldiers fighting Evangard soldiers.
But I meant, yeah.
Yeah, no, the Evangardians were not fighting the Asparans.
Evangard is just sweeping through, crushing them all.
I mean, I haven't had much good run into guards or Ebengard, to be honest.
No, we were friends with the king of Evangard, though. So, or we helped save his kingdom.
Will that bring a pardon to life of, shoplifting?
I doubt he cares.
Well, Watchtower Point is very distant.
You're a
We
part
never-
of our party now. I think that more than supersedes any.
We never heard of the
misdemeanors he
king.
did.
As far as I knew, the king didn't even exist when I was a child. It's just... Yeah, we were very disconnected.
Mm.
We heard more rumors coming... We heard more rumors coming from the sea than we did from land.
You're actually more right than you might have realized, because, just to jump back some history at the beginning of the campaign, the original party met up, at the celebration of Ebengardian unification, which is every year on the date that commemorates the end of the effort by Hadvar Lionborn to unite the disparate towns and holds of Ebengard into one nation. They celebrate his taking the throne. The one that they attended was only the 10th one. So when you were born, he wasn't king.
Huh.
And
Didn't know that.
and Watchtower Point is far enough away, especially from where he made his seat of power, that news of these types of things would come much later, and these people already had their culture established that they would be resistant to it to begin with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's actually pretty likely what you're saying. Good job.
Yay.
Kunenliker. Kunenliker was the name of the celebration. This was the 10th Kunenliker. So 10th year since Lionborn united Ebengard under one banner. Okay. So you give that news to the party. Tam's alive and fighting, and Ebengard is aiding. 3 hours of lessons can have been done. I know that 3 of you learned Draconic.
Oh yeah, I need to.
I know that Laramendis was reading the book, so that leaves another 3 of you to study languages. Are you going to have spent your 3 hours learning languages?
We can have another 3?
No, there's 3 more people. Because that's only 4 out of 7.
Yeah. Because you need a long rest before you can have...
Right, you need
3?
a long rest before you can learn another 3. So,
I don't know, can Leah teach Raiken?
I mean, she's not confident enough. But you could ask her. She hasn't offered it.
What are you
Nobody
trying to
wants to
learn?
Leah, what languages do you speak?
I mean, common... Infernal? For some reason, I didn't forget Infernal.
You still
I thought
speak
I would.
evil?
Yeah, I guess that can come in handy. I mean, so far, I've only been able to talk to it with tieflings. And I also know, like a secret language for thieves and merchants.
A secret language?
Are you talking about thieves' cant?
Yeah.
Well,
That
not
sounds
exactly a language.
exciting.
You know that too, Vendar?
Yes, I know thieves' cant. Honestly, I'm surprised you know it.
wasn't your sea cant?
and not what you told me.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I thought that it was. Cool.
That sounds cool. I want to learn that.
Wait, thieves can't what?
Do anything, obviously. They're just thieves.
If you don't know that, then you can't learn it.
It's a riddle that must be
It
solved.
came in handy when, you know, living as an urchin in a city, in a small city. We didn't get that much from the orphanage, so we often had to rely on more shady things.
Like umbrellas.
Could you teach me, thieves' cat?
Maybe.
You both suck.
Yeah, I just completely ignore that.
That was probably the best decision.
I might be able to. I'm a little bit rusty. It's like 3 months since I used it last. Give and take.
So if you want to try to teach him Thieves' Cant, if that's what he wants to learn, you can spend an hour doing that before lunch.
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay.
But I will not be able to teach you Infernal. It's very difficult. But Thieves' Cant, sure. Thieves' Cant is a strange one because it's like
It's not really a language. It's like
it's like Pig Latin.
yeah, it's like a way we talk using common just to do hidden meanings and stuff, and there's symbols and stuff we can use to mark things.
Okay, so the 3 people who haven't taken any lessons yet are just Yukikaze, Laramendus, and Cyrus? Or Jebble?
Yeah, I haven't taken any. I've
Cyrus.
taught a couple.
Okay.
I've taken
3.
Draconic.
Right. Okay. Just wanted to make sure who hadn't, and Yukikaze
I'd
isn't
like to
here.
take some, but I don't know if there's anyone else in the cart actually teaching any.
Right, so you'd be at 1 hour before lunch, just so you know, just like Raiken's getting 1 hour of Thieves' Camp before lunch. So Raiken, put in your notes, Thieves' Camp, 1 hour. Talk to Yuki about it next time. So any of those 2, Jebble or Vendar, could teach you something in the last hour before lunch. But I think I have one important thing written out for what you're reading, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And I just imagined that when you break for lunch, it's something you'd want to share.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Because that will allow me to just read it rather than trying to retype it.
Yeah. Unless you can think of a good reason, since you know the content, for me to not basically just share it verbatim, what you have written, then...
Given what it says and given your character's intentions with things, there's really nothing here that would trigger anything other than, this should be widely known.
Yeah, that was what I thought, so...
Okay. So, I just want to know, is one of you 2 going to teach... one of you 2 going to teach Cyrus an hour of a language before lunch?
If you'd like more of Gnomish.
Sure, I'll take that.
Okay.
I know Dwarvish and Elvish. You want to learn one of? You don't know them.
So your
I'll
options
take
are
Gnomish.
Gnomish. Okay, so write down an hour of Gnomish, and then we break for lunch. I'll read this, and then we'll call it there.
Sounds good.
So, Larry, you've been reading this journal / spell book for a while. I want to know if you will have tried to read the spells.
No. Not at this time.
Okay.
It is perhaps something that I will attempt to do another time, but for now, given what Nerevar had said, the intention was just to glean as much from the text as possible.
Okay. I will say that in the pages intervening between the spell book and the journal, there is one other secret this book holds, and that is a pair of bowstrings.
Ooh. That's where they went.
Indeed it is.
Was that the cold and hot one, or the hot and whatever the other one was? Can I have them?
You don't use them.
I thought he put them onto.
Didn't he put them onto his... Didn't he
I
have a
put the
second bow or something?
I put the silence one on my hand crossbow.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, there was no reason to use the cold one. That's the only other one I had. They were resistant to cold, not magic.
Yes,
We can figure out with those ones another time.
Yeah,
Like,
these are the fire and lightning ones.
Yay! Awesome.
And as I said, before this is the journal, and in this is the one passage I wrote. So we'll call that the important one that you share.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I imagine my time was still spent reading around it and everything, but this is the relevant bits for anyone to actually know.
Yeah, there is more than this, and I can get into details about that later when I take the time to write it up. But I can also summarize it later for you. Let me just make sure I've got everything here. Yes. Okay. And then I rewrote it so that I start with that. So, the segment begins. If you are reading this, then I am gone. And it is likely that I have failed. Whoever you are, I implore you, destroy that most grievous artifact of the Mad God Cord. Simply leave it and let it lie here, with me. Help me protect millions of innocents for thousands of years. Don't let my sacrifice be in vain. Hibiki was my wife. Though history will probably remember her as Bicky of the Queens, she was the most amazing person I ever knew, and this title does not do her justice. Everyone from Toralos to Sedarin knew of her triumphs in the name of Cord, but no one knew her as I did. Let me tell you some of the things the world never knew about Hibiki Kazuno, the girl with the dragonborn name. She was fluent in Draconic, despite that her people went back to the green valleys of Toralos when she was young. She let me give her the nickname Bicky. She said she loved it, but I saw the pain in her eyes when others used it to refer to Cord's champion. She loved eggs for breakfast, but detested broccoli at dinner. She preferred bathing in salt water to fresh water. She liked to have her hair braided, but she didn't know how to braid it. Her eyes were an orangey brown and shone like topaz, but you could hardly tell that through her visor. She always stayed out too late and grumbled when the sun rose. She would weep every time she returned from a battle, victorious. She was endlessly compassionate, giving her all to protect the weakest living in the green hills and the lake valleys. Her love for me was second only to her love for Cord, and she always did as he wished. As history will well remember, she protected the East like no one before or after. She loved all the people of the world. She hated the necessity of killing soldiers to stop wars. This is one of the things I loved best about her. She did her duty, but the pain she caused hurt her too. She served Cord tirelessly, and brought peace to this side of the world for a decade. But how was she rewarded? She used the power granted to her to stop a war between two kings. The only way she could, and it destroyed her. She was killed in service to the god of valor and honorable contest, and all he could offer me was congratulations for loving his greatest warrior. Well, I spit on him. Take your valor to your grave, Cord. I shall take your artifact to mine. I will not let you destroy any more beautiful, compassionate innocence as you did my Hibiki. That's the end of the passage.
Is that Raiken's response?
How dare she spit on Cord's on Cord's name?
Cord's dead?
Cord's name.
That's the passage as you read it. So.
Cool. Corroborates everything, so that makes sense.
Neat little bow. Okay. Well, if there's no further response to that, then, I think we'll call it there. Good job, everybody. I really very much enjoyed all of the character interactions, especially with each other. So please take 600 experience.
Do I get inspiration?
For being mad at the Lich for being butthurt?
No, actually, for
for the birthday
moment
gift
with Leah.
Yes, please. Should
Do I
we,
get inspiration for making Raiken butthurt?
But
yes.
I mean, yeah, butthurt Lich is definitely an important part of my character.
It's your ideal.
What's your ideal? That Lich is butthurt. What's your bond? That Lich is butthurt. What's your flaw? Butthurt Lich.
Making Lich's butthurt.
Butt-hurting Liches. Okay, what's your most redeeming quality? Let me think about that. I guess I'd have to go with my sparkling personality and my ability to butt-hurt Liches.
Oh, man.
Everybody got their 600 XPs written down?
Yep.
I will tag
Yep.
Malachi in a thingy here at Yuki.
Kaze.
Okay. I guess we'll pick it up from there. It's technically still morning. We've got the rolls to make it till evening for that day. So Yeah, this is first of the 4 like breaks. You take a break about every 4 hours, we'll say. Well, no, that wouldn't make sense. Because they'd need to be like an hour long, and that would be 4 hours on its own, which would mean you'd get 12 hours of. Maybe that's fine though. 12 hours is fine. 4 hours of breaks and 8 hours of sleeping. That makes enough sense to me.
We're traveling for probably 10 to 12 hours of movement, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
If only because of the animals as well.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you wanted to start summoning stuff.
I can't. Nerevar could.
Nerevar can.
But I can't.
Okay. Well, then we'll pick it up next week. Thank you for coming and watching or playing. Ending stream.